Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Boy, hold on. I'm on the run. I've got to throw this in here. I don't even have my headphones in. This is crazy today. So much stuff is happening because of you guys and the whole hitting five something. I can't even look. I'm so nervous to look at the number of patrons because it's going to be a mirage. And I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go 2020. Damn you! But I've got to. I haven't got my shoes on, and you know I cannot work unless I'm wearing shoes. It's a very weird thing. You can run around in socks in your own home all you want to, but if I've learned anything from Mr. Rogers, besides how to treat my fellow man, it's we wear shoes inside the house in case there's an emergency. But you have to have other shoes. 576, crazy. You guys, I adore you and love you, and I can't even begin to tell you how hard a time I'm having dealing with this extraordinary outpouring because we were banging our heads against that glass ceiling for a little bit, and I would like to announce officially, I don't know if I should. Maybe I'll keep it to the. It deserves more than just a flippant announce. I'll take a little more time, but I have an announcement to make about the show and good ways and good stuff, in that edition, that crossing that threshold announcement kind of thing. That's, there we go. So I'm pretty good after the marathon. But overall, let's see if these headphones, there's enough power in these things. I should be able to make it. Put them in there overnight. They should be all right. These guys, unlike the Apple ones, I have to say, take their own sweet time hooking up. They are, there you go. Well, it looks, jump right, there you go. Okay, so let's see if we set this here. Will I be able to get back up here? See, they get weird. Connect, thank you. Why would you show? There we go. Why would you show them connected and then not connect them? It's just madness. I say it's madness. These strange little headphones. And thanks, guys, for tell you about the shirt. I studied here for a short time in Toronto when I moved up to Canada. I studied Kung Fu here with just for a few weeks, and then my schedule up there got interminably long, and I didn't have much of a life at all. I thought I would have some days off, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. And so I took some classes there, and then hunted around, found Vladimir Vasilyev's classes, started studying Sistema, the Russian system, while I was up in Toronto, man. And so that was the extent of my martial arts training in Toronto, except my own personal stuff that I continue to do. There you go. New York, what's happening, you guys? Hello, Germany. Shundik Suzian. You found a manager? I have a manager. You mean a producer? Is that what we're talking about? Sort of, yes, but we'll get to that eventually. It's got to be. It deserves its own unveiling at some point. Yeah. So, anyways, there you go. So this is from Hong Luk on Dundas in Toronto. I could walk to it even in the snow from my apartment in Toronto. There you go. I will have 1,000 patrons soon. From your lips to the Savior's ears, Wes. Here are we hoping. Do I have the same shirt on as I did last night? No. I don't want the same shirt you had on last night. Where'd you get it? Oh, it was threadless, and I don't think they make it anymore. But you could probably look it up. I'll have to look at I don't think it has a name on it. That's the way they were with the threadless things. They were all short-term, like just artists doing stuff. It's from a long time ago. Thank you, Fire Biscuits. Yeah, those of you that've been long-term patrons, I don't want people to not know that because it doesn't necessarily show up in one of our little graphics that some of you increased your patronage or did year-longs, and that in and of itself is an enormous thing. So, yeah. Well, I decided to wash it so it stays lucky. My lucky shirt. That said, oh boy today. Oh boy. So the Josh Hawley news, if people are wondering about that, let me be abundantly clear. Not going to change a thing. Josh Hawley will bring this to the floor, and Tommy Tuberville and them could ask for unanimous consent, mandamus consent to hear their contentious BS on the floor, and then the House and the Senate will have to vote, and go through the motions exactly the same way they're doing with the NDAA today, and that back and forth, and it will hype train that will actually make it official. What Josh Hawley's real goal is here, let's be abundantly clear. Josh intends to run for president. And so what he's doing is elbowing other people out of the way for that good old Trump dollar, that Trump voter going into 2024, because Trump will not run in 2024. He'll make some noise about it, and it'll be this kind of like, you watch. It'll never happen. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. He won't do it. He hated the job when he had it. He doesn't want it again. If he ran, it would be so that he could bow out early and call everybody losers and prove that he's still in control of the Republican Party. He's not going to win. And if he ran again, he would lose. So, yay, whatever. Honest to God, it's just ridiculous. But Josh Hawley's planning on running for president, and this was his way of claiming those leftover Republican voters for himself. And so this is all just a charade. However, the result of this charade will be singular in its effect, because it won't affect the vote, won't affect the Electoral College, any of that stuff. It is the only effect it will have is getting a bunch of Republicans death threats from maggots and Trumpsters in their states. That's what it's going to result in, more than anything else, because these Republicans are going to end up having to vote, with reality. And when they do so, all of the Trump followers will, show up on their lawn and with long guns and threaten their wives and children and shit like that. So that's ultimately what we're looking at. That's Josh Hawley's entire legacy for his time in the Senate. He'll be the senator on the Republican side that got more senators' death threats than any other senator. Because congratulations. So congrats, Josh Hawley, for getting a bunch of psychopaths angry at people for just doing their job. Yeah, that's it. Daryl, thank you. So because the left we're not giving people death threats. We just aren't. And if you're on the left and you give people death threats, then you're not on the left. It's weird. You can't kind of be like, I want universal health care, except for the person I intend to shoot, whatever. It's like goofy. You're not on the left if you believe that. You're an authoritarian. You just found another mask. It's silly. Like that. Don't even pretend. Not going to threaten to kill anybody. It's silly. Right wing, though, the blood of the patriots and charity. And thank you, Robert. Wow. And that's an annual patron. Thank you, sir. The tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants. That's a right wing thing, and it's not even necessarily a Republican or a conservative thing. It's a right wing thing, and so nobody's really concerned that there's going to be kind of lefties, left wing school shooters. You know what I'm saying? It's not really a thing. So, anyways, that's what Josh Hawley's setting to do. He just wants to get a couple of his, and maybe that's the goal. Maybe by getting them to go on the record, he either, on one hand, can throw it in their face. They didn't side with the president, and at least just guaranteeing that our elections, why are you against the security of our elections in the next election cycle? Or he can get them to be on the receiving ends of so many death threats that they end up just dropping out of politics entirely because they fear for the lives of their spouses and their children. So, nice chess move, Josh Hawley, who, by the way, doesn't live in Missouri. Josh Hawley, for those of you who don't know, is the junior senator from Missouri. And when I say from Missouri, I have to put that in air quotes because he lives in Virginia and he uses his sister's house as his Missouri residence and has the entire time. Doesn't live there. Doesn't live in Missouri. Doesn't even stay at his sister's when he when he goes back there to his house. He doesn't do that. He's yeah. So hold on one second. Let's just do a quick Google. Josh Hawley doesn't live in Missouri. It's not Missouri if you're from there. Just in case, I posted this earlier. It's always early someplace. Quiet. Okay. Josh Hawley, who owns a house in Virginia, uses his sister's home in Missouri as an address. Of course, it's from the super left-wing newspaper, the Kansas City Star. You know. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley has frequently railed against coastal elites in speeches. Last year, he sponsored legislation that would relocate thousands of federal workers from Washington to economically distressed areas in the heartland. That was to benefit Kansas and Missouri, by the way. But a review of property records shows that the first-term Republican is no longer a Missouri homeowner and that he's registered to vote at his sister's home in Ozark, Missouri, while he is in between homes in the state. He's in between homes. He doesn't actually live there. He's in between. Thank you, Jess. While he's in between, he's in between. He's not, we don't have a homeless problem in this country. We have an in-between homes problem, clearly. That's the concern. Hawley owns a $1.3 million house in the northern Virginia suburbs of Washington. Let me read that to you again. Hawley owns a $1.3 million house in the northern Virginia suburbs of Washington. What was that again? $1.3 million house, where he spends most of his time with his wife, Erin Hawley, and their 3 children. Good for him. Hawley's parents, Ronald and Virginia Hawley, purchased a lot in Christian County, Missouri, and that is nothing better man name than that in Christian County. In case there was any, and you know that these people are Christians. They live in Christian County. I mean, but for it's on the plaque above the door when it's on the gate when you enter town. Of course we're Christians. Don't pay attention to our behavior. Look, it says Christian on the door. What more do you want? In October 2019, and added him to the deed. Oh, that's nice. According to the property records, but a house on the property is still under construction and Hawley isn't residing there. Okay, so he's got a $1.3 million house in Northern Virginia, but his parents added him to the deed of their house, and they're building a house on their property for him to live in maybe at some point, but that's his house. So by the end of this, he'll have, 2 houses, a second address at his sister's house, and a sprawling piece of property that his parents left him. Who can't relate to that? Well, I mean, nothing says Missouri heartland like a $1.3 million house in Virginia just outside of Washington, D.C. as your primary residence, and your parents adding you to the deed and building you a free house on their land while you vote from your sister's house where you don't live. Josh Hawley, coming for America 2024. Do votes really count? I'm going to write jingles for that dude the entire time. When Hawley took office in January 2019, he said he told. That's a great sentence. I mean, is that classic or what? He said he told. He said he told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch he would split time between the Springfield area and Washington, D.C. He said he told it. That is some country writing there, folks. He said he told. Is that a Missouri phrase? Jacob came down here wailing about waving a gun. And he said he told you what he was going to be doing. And then he said he told you something else. Now I don't know what to believe. I just got to get to the hospital and close this gunshot wound. He said he told him. Thank you, Mike. Oh my gosh. And these are annual pledges people are doing, which I really appreciate. Don't let that number scare you. That just means that they're doing the whole year. And thank you so much for that, you guys. And Aggie, thank you for Swedish kronar. Is that what's happening there? I will not hold it against you that you're a foreigner. I appreciate it. So, let's see. That's nice. So Aaron was added too. That same month, Hawley and his wife were added as co-owners to his parents' home in Springfield, according to the Greene County Records Office. That property was sold in what? That property was sold in June. Wait a minute, just 4 paragraphs ago, he's waiting for a house to be built on his family's property. Then they add him as co-owners of the parents' home in Springfield. Then they go and sell the property. And then this dude has a $1.3 million. Oh, shit, I'm starting to figure it out. Come on. Yes, we'll switch over to Twitter Live when it occurs. Hopefully it will be seamless. I doubt it. Little more than a month after the sale of Springfield property, Hawley had changed his voter registration address to his sister's home in Ozark. He's also using the Ozark address for his registration with the Missouri bar. Hey, man, he said he told you. He said he told you. 578. This is crazy. The fact that we would hit 600 possibly before the end of the year, I'm going to lose my mind. This is crazy. Records, that's always the problem, isn't it? Not really what bites you in the ass. Records. Friggin' records, man. Am I right? From the Christian County Collector's Office. Man, that is... Wait a minute. CCC? Conservative Citizens Council, the furtherance of the KKK. They changed their name to the CCC. Oh, my God. I've got a QAnon brain cramp. Office showed Leslie Hawley, a dermatologist, has paid the property tax bill for the 4-bedroom Ozark home since 2018. Now, my only question in this, if I may, and I just have one little, this might be, could possibly, is Josh Hawley, and this might be, I don't know if this is an answerable question at all, is Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, a grown man? I mean, other than the stuff about the bar and the fact that he's a lawyer, but I mean, in the Doogie Howser world, I suppose there's not really an age limit for passing the bar, just a study limit and passing the test. But is Josh Hawley an adult, like a grown person? But because I'm having a hard time placing what part of this guy's life he's in charge of. You know what I mean? Because it looks like they sold the bigger property. He and his wife became co-owners of the property. Then they sold the property. They took what they got as co-owners of the property, used that to buy a house in Virginia. Just saying. So, anyways, Josh Hawley, this is all fart air, won't amount to anything. But Giuliani was back at his favorite place, standing in a corner in Georgia. Standing in a corner in Georgia, trying to tell them all what went wrong. And he's talking to a Senate subcommittee. Well, it's sad when you can't get a whole committee and you're stuck with a subcommittee. Continues a hearing on election issues. Let me guess. Same old shit. But and by the way, it says testifies. But you'll notice one part of this was cut out, which is the intro to it, the beginning of it. And I don't want you to think that I cut that off. This is the video. This is live. This is the Epoch Times' website carrying it. But Rudy, just in case you're wondering, curious, hopeful that you can help understand this. At what point, this is the, I can't, no, go, I'm on the, yeah. Over the course of this, Rudy did not at any point take an oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So during this, just to be clear, just in case you're lulled in. Thank you, Karen. Oh my gosh, a $20 pledge on Patreon. Thank you, Patreon. Thank you. Bless you. So yeah, no, at no point did Rudy Giuliani swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help him God on a Bible or any other religious document. Just for the record, just in case you think this is real testimony, where, if he were asked contradictory questions to establish the truth and veracity of what he was saying, and he repeated what he said, he would go to jail. That part, yeah, he's not doing that. He isn't. And by the way, lawyers speaking at these subcommittee hearings. This is a curious little thing, and if there's a lawyer out there who can disagree with me, I would be shocked, but I welcome being wrong about this. But one of the reasons why that lawyer they had helping, thank you, Richard. One of the reasons why those lawyers, that lawyer that they had showing the video, and I'm sure they'll show it again, the Georgia electioneering video that they claim. Well, the reason why the lawyer was just helping and not acting as a lawyer on behalf of the Trump campaign, the woman who was just talking about the video, was because she wasn't under oath and following the rules of the bar. She was just a private citizen in that moment. And acting as a private citizen in that moment, she can lie to the state legislature and not be disbarred. So that's why not under oath, and why lawyers, when they're not under oath speaking to a state legislature, can lie, because it's a free speech issue and they're not acting as lawyers in those situations. Now, Rudy, I'm sure, will play fast and loose with it, but he's not licensed to practice law in Georgia, so it doesn't matter. Hey, Brian, thank you. Thank you very much. So here we go.
It's proved it to the world. Sure, it invites fraud. Plenty of fraud.
Okay, and by the way, he's probably talking about the Jimmy Carter study that it invites fraud to do mail-in voting.
The people in Fulton County were instructed not to look at signatures.
No, they weren't. They were not instructed not to look at signatures. The only people who were instructed not to look at signatures were people who were not election judges. Like what's her name? The Caroni, Melissa Caroni. I know they don't swear in. I know they don't swear in front of state legislatures. Like Panic is saying, why don't they? Do I have to tell you, people don't swear in on a Bible in state legislative hearings before you believe me? The witness signing cards act as an affidavit, as video of the... No, they don't. They don't act as lawyers in this situation. They show up as any other citizen. The affidavit to what they're saying, and by the way, you'll notice the languaging about this, Panica, is all about... Panica? I'm going to go with Panica. The language that they're using is all the appearance of, and you can see for yourself. Like, listen to the squirrely language they use, so as to be always discussing perception and the feeling of a perception, as opposed to, legally damning actual facts.
They were instructed to do that, and you have testimony to that effect.
Yeah, no, they weren't. People who were not, it's not your job to look at signatures. Go away. We have people looking at signatures. We don't need you. Those are the people who are instructed. That's right. That's what he's talking about. Yes, people were told not to look at signatures, and those people did not have the right to be on the premises, and there was already somebody there looking at signatures.
Not only do you have testimony to that effect, you have film that shows you them not looking at the signature, doing this.
What are they doing? Yeah, you mean sorting out of privacy envelopes? There's no signatures on privacy envelopes.
It's going to happen again. Well, it's not just going to happen again. It's happening right now as I speak in the election that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even know why people vote, because clearly there are people from China looking at your signatures, right-wingers, so be careful when you vote. And I agree, you should vote, but understand that you're being spied on. Thank you, Ken.
The same fraud that went on in the prior
Appreciate that.
election
Thank you so much.
is going on right now with the mail-in ballots because of the unlawful, unconstitutional consent decree.
It's not unlawful. It's not unconstitutional. It's based on the circumstance and the emergency that we're actually in. And the death rate and the hospitalization rate in every state has spiked since the election. Everybody wants to blame it on just strictly on Thanksgiving. But it started at the election because of the number of people on the right who insisted on voting in person and didn't want to vote by mail because of the strategy that they would just throw out mail-in votes.
That your Secretary of State, I guess, entered into. I don't know what's wrong with him, but...
Nothing. He just doesn't want all of his citizens to die because a good portion of the Republican voters in that state have comorbidities and will be killed by COVID. So he's just trying to have them not die.
That consent decree usurps your power as a state legislature.
No, it doesn't.
You're supposed to make those changes.
No, you're not.
The Constitution gives the authority to you.
No, it doesn't.
The Constitution also says the buck stops here, and the buck stops with the state legislature.
Okay, the buck does. There's no line in the Constitution that says the buck stops here. That was a sign on Harry Truman's desk, and the buck doesn't stop with the state legislatures. State legislatures are not the all-powerful mandators of election counting in the country. And especially because the vast majority of them, including the Georgia state legislature, have handed over their power to choose the electors to the Secretary of State and stuff. It's silly.
You're responsible for those numbers that have been submitted to Washington. Is there anybody that believes that Georgia submitted the right number of votes to?
I mean, besides me and the entire governmental structure of Georgia, with the exception of Democrat and Republican, with the exception of hardline Trumpsters that are stuck in there that think that that's their ticket to national office? I mean, besides that, yeah, pretty much everybody.
To Washington.
And by the way, who gives a shit what the people gathered in that room believe? Who gives a shit what Rudy Giuliani thinks he sees in a video where he can't actually see what's going on? I've watched the same video he's talking about. Like, just his explanation of it is a lie.
Is there anybody that would like to put their name on an affidavit that that's true and correct and take a risk of going to jail?
Well, you're taking a risk of being sued into oblivion by Dominion and others, but please proceed. I will enjoy it.
As a lawyer, I would instruct you not to do that.
As a lawyer, you tried to have sex with a 15-year-old.
Because there's not a person in Georgia or a person in the United States that believes that those numbers are correct.
I beg your pardon? Yeah, you all heard that right. There is not a person in the entire United States or the state of Georgia, and I believe they overlap in parts, that thinks that that believes that count is right. Yeah, no, yeah. The governor, who's a Republican, and the Secretary of State already certified it. It's already gone. It's already done. This is, by the way, them trying to get the alternative elector thing, which that ship has sailed.
If you look at that one recording, that one tape, you know they're not correct. Or if you
what in that tape or that one recording would make me think anything of the sort?
Look at the fact that
look it up.
You had 2,560 felons vote. You had 15,700 people.
Yeah, felons get back their right to vote. They're not in prison. Mike Flynn's a felon.
People vote in Georgia who had changed their address before the election.
Wait. Oh my God. People changed their address before the election? Oh, did they now? Were they drummed off the voter rolls by Brian Kemp in an attempt to broom Democratic voters? And damn it, they found a way to sign back up. And they made sure that their ballot would go to the right mailing address. Huh? That's interesting that would happen.
You had 40,000 people fail to re-register before they voted.
I have to find the guy from today with the recording. Which recording is that?
You had 10.
I'm interested in the guy with the recording. We definitely have the Ali dude that people were asking about. I have a little bit of that as well.
10,315 people that we can determine from obituaries were dead when they voted.
No dead people voted in Georgia. They didn't. You can't look at obituaries and know it's the same person.
That's pretty tough to do.
So basically, Republicans are running a racket in that state because 300,000 dead voters were able to vote in Georgia, and the entire electoral system in Georgia can't or won't or it has no interest in spotting it. 300,000, not 10, not 15, not 6, not the 4 that voted for Trump that are being prosecuted. No, these folks. Brian Kemp and Raffensperger, 300,000 dead people, not 20, not 10. Yeah. All right. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So he just said that out loud. We can prove from obituaries that get at it, asshole. Let's see it. Because you should have just led with that. That would have been, that's a show. You know what I mean? You roll in, you hold up a picture. See this guy? This is Stan Billy Joe Crenshaw. Stan Billy Joe Crenshaw voted in this election, but here's Stan Crenshaw's shot the coroner posted. Have you seen this man? This is the address his ballot went to. Just one of those, and you would have my attention. One. 300,000 dead people. I did hear him right. I did hear 300,000.
We had 10,315 people that we can determine from obituaries.
10,000. Sorry, 10,300. 10,300. I'm backing my numbers up. So let's clarify. 10,000 of them, which is enough to obviously throw the election. That's right. What was the difference between it's close to, that's just 10,000. They just made up those dead people. Oh, clearly. Well, Rudy, show us
1,000 people failed to re-register before they voted. You had 10,315 people that we can determine from obituaries dead when they voted. That's pretty tough to do, to vote when you're dead.
I see. So that was, I think, venturing into an attempt at humor.
So right away, that number you submitted to Washington is a lie. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy just said they can tell they read newspapers. 10,000, they checked 10,000 obituaries against the names of registered voters. And you know what? 10,000 of those names overlap. There's a Mary Anderson that voted, and there's a Mary Anderson that died in 1911. It's as far back as we could go with the local Georgia newspapers. Hold one up, Rudy. One. There's 10,000 some odd of them. One. Hold up one. Do it. Because again, how do you not know how to sell this shit? Sorry, but I could walk in there and I don't believe any of this shit. And I could sell this nonsense better than Rudy could. It's embarrassing. It's like one of those things, like you're like, oh, if I was a criminal defense, or and like in Liar Liar, when she's like, he got $10,000. Do you think that's right? No, I got him 20. I mean, I would have got him 20. That kind of thing. One. No, holding one up would not be fraud. But he can't do that. Even one thing. Like again, you're making this extraordinary claim that 10,500 people, dead people, voted. And that they all voted for Biden. Right? That there were 10,500 votes of people who voted for Biden. None of them voted for Trump, even though the 4 people who are being charged with active voter fraud used their dead relatives to vote for Trump. Right? We know this. If you look at the criminality left to right, there are 2 people who are going to go to jail because they filled out their dead relative's ballot and sent it in to benefit Trump. But what Rudy's saying is in the vast number of things. We've looked at obituaries in theory, which I've seen no proof that they did. And he's asserting these things. Again, these are assertions which are fine, But that's a huge number. 10,500 is a huge number. So you got to come out and go, here's 10 of them. Look, this is Claire da-da-da. This is her after she was hit by a bus. This is a necklace she wore that said, I don't vote. Like, you gotta set up a standard.
Not true. It's false. Minus 10,000 dead people.
Which all voted for Trump. By the way, I'm just going to, since he's just saying shit, I'm going to say shit. Every single one of those dead people votes all went to Trump. I think he lost by 20,000. I think Trump's loss was way worse. Because let's say I'm running against you in an election. Work with me on this. And there's 250,000 people in our county, right? And I expect 200 of the 250,000 registered voters in the county to come out, and 100,000 are going to come out for me, and 100,000 are going to come out for you, and I'm running against you. So I want that extra edge, so I either steal or arrange for added votes and fake votes and do all kinds of stuff. But unfortunately, and I get 110,000 votes in the election, and I'm expecting you to get 100. But then you get 140,000 because people came out and voted for you. So my fallback plan, after I tried to get dead people to vote and fake signatures and all that kind of stuff, since I know that through mail-in voting, you can't tell that I was trying to fix the race for me, is what I say is, I know the fix was in. The fix was in. These are fake votes. The dead people voted. Never mind the fact that I paid to create that fraud. Never mind the fact that I put those fake voters in, those dead voters, those, bad signatures. Never mind the fact that my election judges are the ones that were trying to pad my numbers at 110. But when you won by 30,000 votes, now what I do is, a bunch of dead people voted. This is all fake. And I want the entire election thrown out, and you are the suspect. That's what this is. It's so goofy. It's so transparent.
Those are the number of dead people we were able to figure out by looking at obituaries, because your Secretary of State is engaged in what I consider an unlawful cover-up. He won't.
Is there a lawful? I guess there is a lawful cover-up. Is it a cover-up if it's lawful, or is it just covert or something? I don't know. Anyways, please go on, Rudy.
Let us look at records.
Yeah, let us look at where the voters live so that activists and right-wingers and Klansmen from all over the state can go find the people that voted for Biden and burn their houses down. All we're going to do is put them all in a zip drive, give them to the RNC, and have the RNC put them on the internet in an unpassword secured server for days, and allow the Proud Boys and the any kind of random KKK group down there, just download them to their buddies at the NRA. And then we can frighten, kill off, burn down, or run off a bunch of people so that we can win the election next time.
If the Dominion machines are what we say they are,
they aren't.
And we've tested the Dominion machines in Michigan.
No, you haven't.
Those machines are like Swiss cheese. You can invade them, you can get in them, you can change the vote, you can fractionalize the vote.
No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't.
Why would you ever fractionalize a vote?
Why would you ever fractionalize a vote? Well, in the case of a 2 out of 3 in a judgeship, for example, there are 5 where pick 3 of these judges out of the 6 that are here. And if you it's straight ticket where you vote for all the Republicans get a vote of 1 for both the issues tied to the judgeships. And if you pick 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat, it's 0.8 of a vote. That doesn't happen in the presidential election. That doesn't happen for senator or congressman or any of that stuff. But if there are multiple outcomes for, say, I'm for I'm for the bill passing, but I don't believe it should be a bond initiative. I believe in the legalization of pot, but I don't believe in the bond issue that's attached to it because they're co-writing together. So I vote just for the first part, not for the second part. This is me spitballing. Here's what happened, though. If you voted for Biden, he got one vote. If you voted for Trump, he got one vote.
There's not such a thing as half a vote or a quarter of a vote. Why?
Well, you know there is. In just the situation I explained to you. I just broke out a couple of situations where in an election, not in the individuals running for singular office, but in an election, why you would have the ability to do that in a voting machine. You wouldn't use it in the presidential election. It wouldn't matter. You had your expert who's in charge of like psyops for the military and your other expert who's a mechanic sit there and tell you all the things that could hypothetically be done if and so you had, right.
Why would you have an election machine where you can change the vote? The liars who run Dominion have said you can't change the vote. Read the manual. Read their manual.
Okay. I'll do it. Next time you see me, guys, I'll have read the manual for the Dominion machines. I'm going to guess you can change the vote before you tabulate it and have the printout come out. Like you vote for somebody and you're like, that's not who. It showed up wrong. I changed that. That's not what I meant to do. Every time I push Biden, it goes to Trump. Maybe it's the screen isn't calibrated right. Oh, look, if I push a little further down just below the box that says Biden, it actually makes the button work in his. Oh, I see. So the screen sensor is slightly off and it's poorly calibrated. So if you push Biden, it'll give it to Trump because somebody intentionally miscalibrated the screen. So it doesn't change. Yeah.
Their manual says you can change the vote. Why should you be allowed to change a vote in a voting?
All right. Wait, did he say in a voting booth?
The vote. Why should you be allowed to change a vote in a voting machine?
Okay, hold on. I normally don't want to dig down into this stuff like this, but Dominion machines. Hold on. What? Changing votes. Let's see. I mean, there's a bunch of these, like, we go to this one. Like, I mean, the amount, fact check, Dominion voting machines didn't delete or switch votes. Dominion machines didn't flip votes in Ware County, Georgia. Setting the record straight, Dominion, this is their own thing. Is there any evidence of Dominion systems vote switching or software errors? The answer is no. I'm trying to find where he says the software. Let's see. And then it's in Michigan allows forensic. Okay. Michigan fraud claims. Dominion CEO. Okay. Fact checked. Dominion is not linked to or Venezuela. It's when you. Good Lord. All right. I'm trying to find anywhere. Let's see. Fake claims do real damage. Yeah, they're going to get sued about that. Dispute report. Dominion can testify. Trump is looking for fraud in all the wrong places. New Jersey spotlight claims the machines in Michigan by Dominion City before the pandemic. Okay, no. Voting machine demands retractions. That was the one that actually Fox did. Small vote precise count, nothing more. Okay, cool. The Dominion machines. Let's see if I can do this. And by the way, let's see. There we go. So Dominion machines, changing votes in the manual. Anything like that? Image cast X ballot marking said below the voter review their selection, change their. Look what I found. ImageCast X, ballot marking device, user guide, check. See, everything's designed on a check, and then there's a little ballot going in the box, and then this looks like a little check because you're voting. Let's see. Notice and confidentiality, proprietary notice, revision history, that's redacted, allowed authors, redacted, relevant disclaimers. Okay, cool. Let's see, system setup, ImageCast, unpacking the equipment, setting up the equipment, logging into ImageCast administration, turning on ImageCast XB data printer, logging into ImageCast, activating a voting session, activating a ballot in the ImageCast. Okay, so let me guess. This is the manual he's talking about, and this is the manual from 2015. 2 elections have gone by, 3, technically, if you count the midterms, and I'll peruse this for you guys. It's a lot. So obviously I'm not going to read all the pages today, but I'll go through this whole thing, how it gets set up, what works, how the tabulation works separately. There you go. Activate a ballot in ImageCast. Super good. Yeah. So let's just, okay. So we'll look into that later. But I will count it as bullshit that I'm going to find anything in there that says you can even switch votes later.
Once that vote goes in there, that's it. You shouldn't be able to change it. You shouldn't be able to move it from Trump to Biden or from Biden to Trump. Well, you can do that in the Dominion machine.
In the tabulation machines, if someone enters it wrong, if the number comes out of the voting machine, the actual vote tabulator, the vote counting machine, and then it gives you a tabulation document, and you go over and you hand enter the details from the tabulation document, it allows you to go back and go, oh, that was wrong. That's what a recount does to compare it with what was there. If they go into the recount and they found that there were votes that weren't counted, they can add it to the tabulation. That doesn't change it in the voting machine. And again, this ImageCast, just by, and by the way, the ballot marking device, user's guide, I'm going to guess, because these weren't the ones that were used where I was, that there's an update to look at. So please be advised that this document may make reference to the following Democracy Suite functionalities. Ranked choice voting, which, by the way, is where you get a percentage vote, just so you know. Does the Dominion machine produce a paper analog? Yes, it does. And in mail-in voting, there's more paper analog than anything. There's more paper trail in this election than any in history. Besides, I guess, the ones that were all paper.
People have inspected 22 Dominion machines. We've submitted affidavits from, and they're all ex-military people who did this work.
They're all, you mean Ramsland? You mean the guy who was in charge of creating groupthink experiments and MK Ultra-like stuff? Good choice.
For the NSA and for the United States government. Every time they would count in the machine, they would get a different count. They were able to move votes, massive number of votes, from one side to the other. They caught, in this county, 6,000 votes having been moved from Trump to Biden.
What about the 17,000 votes that were from Biden to Trump and had to be moved back? You don't seem to complain about those.
Which had to be reversed. But those are the only machines we've ever gotten to look at. If 22 machines move 6,000 votes, how many machines do you have here? How many votes do you think they moved? And why is it that the Secretary of State won't allow us to examine them?
Because you do not have standing, and random assholes from campaigns do not get to look at proprietary software owned by the state for the planned execution of messing with the next round of voting. I don't understand why they won't just give us their passwords if they don't have something to hide. If you're not involved in banking fraud, why aren't you giving me your PIN number? I mean, is that something? I mean, if you got something to hide, obviously you wouldn't want me looking at your bank records, right? So clearly, because you're not giving me your PIN number and your password for the online website that goes to your bank accounts, clearly something shifty is going on. I mean, I am a citizen of the United States of America, and I have made these demands. I even had a crazy Karen write out a version of it where, she misspelled some things, but you get the general idea.
If he's so sure this was the cleanest election in history, let us examine the machines.
The state has a system for going through that. They audited themselves, and they do, and they did. It's a Republican running the place. You don't get to sit alone with the machines until they come up with the version you like.
We'll find out really fast. We'll find out really fast if this was the cleanest election in history or the biggest scandal in terms of voting in the history of our country. We'll find out in 2 days.
2 days. All we need, just leave me alone with the voting machines for 2 days, uninterrupted.
Or we can go get the gentleman you had before. The gentleman you had here before who can examine the ballots. He can tell you in a day. He can find out were there illegal ballots submitted. He can tell you whether it's an official ballot of the state of Georgia or one made up in a garage somewhere so they could plug in an extra 30 or 40,000 Biden votes.
Or Trump votes, for that matter. And maybe one of the reasons why, considering the governor and the Secretary of State are Republicans, maybe the reason, Rudy, that they don't want to show you what went on is because they did help Trump try to win, and he lost by even more, and they're afraid people will find that out. I mean, when you went and looked at Wisconsin, you sued $3 million, and all you got were not 82 extra Biden votes.
He can tell you that definitively, scientifically.
How?
We can find out if it was the cleanest election in history or the biggest fraud in history. Who's stopping us? Your Secretary of State is stopping us. If he's so sure that it's the cleanest vote ever in history, then let us examine the ballots. Let us forensically examine the ballots. Let's not keep recounting the...
Well, what's to forensically look at if they've been counted and recounted? If they went through the tally and they counted, they're not... All right.
Same crooked votes that we counted in the first place. The recount in Cobb County is a joke. It's an insult. Yeah, I mean, I can...
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a waste of everyone's time. Biden won it 3 times now.
I can keep recounting the same phony votes over and over again, and I'll get the same result.
It's kind of like, you know what, that's true. Because on his show, on Rudy's show, he keeps recounting the same phony facts over and over again. That, you know, his allegations against Hunter and against, you know, election fraud. He keeps bringing those up over and over again, and he keeps having the same fraudulent show. So there is a point.
Let us examine the ballots, and said Mr. Secretary of State. Let us examine the machines. And why are you stopping us from doing that? Why are you stopping the people from Georgia to find out if the...
He's not. The people from Georgia voted. You're not the people from Georgia. You're from New York. Your entire team is from outside of state. And you do not represent a single Georgian voter who has shown that their vote was disenfranchised. Not one.
These allegations...
They represent the campaign, which is not a Georgia entity.
Which are made now by numerous witnesses. I don't know how...
How did Rudy get a show? Well, he's on the radio on KABC, or WABC in New York. And then he's, and then he's just got his YouTube show.
How many witnesses you've had that have demonstrated fraud?
None.
Well, let's find out how extensive it was. It's easy to do. It'll take about 3-4 days.
Well, really? Because you've been at it the entire time and you still haven't managed to do it.
Scientific process to do it. And
what? Explain that to us. Guys, you know you want Rudy explaining the scientific process. I mean, don't you? Come on, he could break it down for us. What does it involve?
If you need evidence that this was a deliberate fraud, that's your best evidence. I mean, why would they stop the gentleman who testified earlier from examining ballots this morning, other than the fact that they know if he examines those ballots, he's going to pull out 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 ballots that were made up by the Democrat Party.
By the Republican Party, for Trump, because he actually lost the state by a lot. And unfortunately for them, Biden squeaked it out, and the blue tsunami was real. And they don't want you. The reason why the state legislature, the Republican governor, the Republican Secretary of State is because they are involved in election fraud. But they don't want to get caught and go to jail because they actually helped Trump. And the state's going to look even more blue if they let Rudy's guy get in there and throw out votes.
And submitted and put in during periods of time like what you saw on video.
We all watched the video. Are you going to play it again?
That's exactly what was happening. And if you look at the number of votes during that period of time,
there were none.
Biden gained 138,000 vote advantage during that period of time from those.
No, he didn't. I mean, we looked at this before. What was that period of time? What was the period of time? Anybody? Everybody's been following along. I told you there'd be a quiz. What was the period of time? From 10:30 on election night to noon the next day. Each machine produces and counts about 20,000 votes. They end up tabulating them. That takes about another hour. You start at 6 a.m. the next morning after having stopped. There's your 120,000 ballots. Because if it wasn't then,
those votes,
if they're 90%, if the 90% of the mail-in ballots that they're claiming came in through that thing and were counted, that means none were counted at night from the finishing of the tabulation to 6 a.m. the next morning. None. They say period of time, again, because remember his little graph he showed you? What you do is you pretend that if I go back far enough, I can flatten any graph. You know, if from last night we went from 0 to 10,000 in whatever unit we're talking about. We're doing a fundraiser, and we only last night we went from 0 to 10,000 overnight. But I say period of time, so I act as if we were doing the telethon for 2 years. It really looks fairly pitiful in terms of our overall growth over time. This is the exact same kind of math that they use to make it look like there aren't any COVID deaths. This is how they're used to lying. There was no counting from 10:30 on, I think approximately 10:30 on election night to 6:30 a.m. the next morning. They arrived at 6. They started counting at 6:30. They counted till noon. Or they counted the rest of the day, but in the period he's talking about is from noon. The number of votes, he says, were accumulated during that time, both for Trump and for Biden, during that time at 2 different sites, which is what they're talking about. They had multiple sites going, counting votes. That in the counting of those, they counted precisely the number that those machines would count, 18 to 20,000 votes an hour from 6 to noon. If what he's saying was true and they added all those votes in the middle of the night, then the continued counting the next day would have added double that. Because if they had gotten through most of the votes, the counting would have slowed by then. It didn't. It ramped up because they weren't allowed to count some of the votes until the next morning.
You take that advantage away, who wins this state?
Biden, by more.
Let me conclude by saying
I need a pardon.
Something that I find people resist, and maybe it's because we've never faced this before.
Yeah, tell me what the odd discolorization of your dome versus the rest of your head versus your hands, the spreading of the Trump masking.
Our founding fathers miraculously probably envisioned everything that would happen to us. They even envisioned this: a disputed election, cheating, stealing. And they made a choice.
Did they now? Why is he out of breath? I have to feel like all of this is landing like a lead balloon.
They made a choice of where to put the responsibility in a difficult situation like that. Article 1, Section...
Son of a bitch. Section 2, Clause 1. We have done this? Rudy, really? Read it. Please read it.
2 of the Constitution puts that responsibility right here.
Right where?
In the legislatures of the several states.
Uh-huh. And what responsibility is that, Rudy? Please tell me.
You are responsible for the selection of the electors.
Nope. They are responsible for the manner in which the electors are selected. The manner. They are only responsible for the manner in which they're selected. There's one per state legislator in each state. That's how many electoral college, that's how many there? Yeah. But the manner, how they are chosen, not that they are chosen, that says shall. Not that they choose them, because it does not say will. It says you choose the manner in which they are chosen. Why is it that I, who was Zoltan, needs to know? Why does Zoltan need to know more about the constitutionality of the selection of electors via state legislators than the guy who is the president's lawyer? Christ, this is dumb. Notice, though, I hope he reads it out loud. He hasn't, which just goes to show you he knows that that's a bear trap.
Not the governor, not your Secretary of State who's covering up everything he can cover up, not
Well, I should hope so.
anybody else, but you. It's your power. It doesn't come from the state constitution. It comes from the United States Constitution. You're not subjected to needing a special session. The governor has no right.
If you passed a law and your state constitution says that laws must be repealed by a majority of the state legislature or whatever, that's within the state constitution. You can't violate your state's constitution while you're violating the constitution at the same time. You can't argue that rules and laws within the state constitution can allow you to supersede your own laws as rogue state senators when your state constitution says you need a plurality of votes, whatever, even if it's just a single majority to vote to overturn the law that you guys passed in 1874 that the county board of electors in each place will help choose the electors and the governor will make the final selection. This is just goofy.
Right, really, to interfere in it. He has no right to call a special session or not call a special session. The Constitution has taken him out of the process.
No, it hasn't. No, each state has a constitution, and in their constitution, how they come together and decide laws is in the state constitution. And the federal government, using military means, as Mike Flynn would suggest, or legal means, has no right to impose their political desire on a state, forcing their senators to override their own state constitution and come to session to give them what they want.
Constitution put the power in the state legislature so strong
that if they wanted to let you choose electors in a cow chip throwing contest, you could.
That you can take that power back right up to the last moment. You could take.
Nope. And if they do, they have to come to, if they did it legally, we legally passed a law where the electors are chosen by the Board of Elections. Okay, cool. Bye. See you guys after Christmas. That act or whatever, you'd have to call a special session, debate, put a law on the books, get it passed. The governor would have to sign it. It's not going to happen. Again, that's why this is fart air.
Take it back 2 minutes before the electoral votes are counted. Because ultimately, it's your responsibility. You delegated it to them in the first place. And if you feel that they're exercising it improperly, it is your obligation to stop them from doing it. And you know they exercised it improperly. You know that.
No, they didn't.
You've got so much evidence of it. It's
honest to God, he's shaking like crazy. Why? I mean, he's got to know that this is just the last dumb ditch effort to try and solve this, right? Hold on, I'm rolling back. Yeah, I'm going to find in there. Just trying to fix something real quick. Thank you, guys. It takes so long to fit some of these folks. Let's see if I can find that again. I beg your pardon. Thank you. Hold on. I wish there was a way to search in there, but there is not. I will find it. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just fixing one thing. Hang out, talk amongst yourselves. This is going to be all right. It's going to be all right. See, maybe I'll get lucky. Hey-yo. Nope, don't see it in there. All right, I'll try and dig it up again. Let me know what's happening. There we go. Hold on, sorry. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thanks. What's for dinner? We don't know. Thanks.
There are 10 ways to demonstrate it. There are 10 ways to demonstrate that this election was stolen.
Then do it. Jesus Christ. I am so, I love this. I'm having so much fun. But is it that hard? Is it, look, I obviously gripe about and make similar jokes about this stuff when it comes up with some regularity. I know that. But in every instance where some of this stuff is brought up, I cite the law or cite the Constitution or cite the specific that I'm talking about as best I can at least 60% of the time, if I'm not just on a roll dicking around with these morons, right? You guys have seen me do it. I will stop in the middle of this and go find the article or what have you that relates to what they're saying and go, look, Trump did not pass the VA choice bill, like that kind of thing. And the minute I do that, the minute I show that, you have to, even if you were on their side, you have to go, oh, well, that's true, right? I don't want to watch the whole session. I don't. I just want to like Rudy's part of it because it's just, this is 2 hours. I'm not doing 2 hours in this whole damn thing. There is none. There is no frigging evidence. And at every point, every third sentence in this, and this goes back to that elevator pitch bullshit yesterday, every third sentence should have an example, a material example, not we saw they were doing this with ballots. That not, they have machines that can do anything just by saying that. We had our people look at it and they were like, you could totally do this. Like, bring it up. Have someone write it out for you. How many months have they been at this bullshit? How many? You can, when you say it's in the marketing, it's in their brochure, then have a copy of it in your paper right there. You only hit the same goddamn notes 9 times. Have the sheet music so you can hold it up and go, say this, I have been singing the notes. These are the notes. Even if you think I'm flat, it says flatato. Whatever. There's nothing stopping him from having page whatever it is in here that says not printing. Here's the part that's specially around Michelle Corone, paper jams, how to handle paper jams. There they are. Invalid voter cards, how to deal with those. Oh my God, what happens if you put it in a voter card and it comes up invalid? Weird. Remote voting administration portal logon. So not the actual voting machines, the administration of the building. Okay, gotcha. All this stuff, have it. If it's in there, it's not on all the pages. You only need one. Why should I have to go read the whole goddamn manual for Dominion to find your evidence for you? So please, folks, if you're ever in this situation and you want to make a convincing argument in a debate, and in many ways, your freedom and financial future relies on it, because if you lose, your client's not going to pardon you for the crimes you've obviously committed while you were in office and then while acting as a private citizen and an unlicensed or unregistered foreign agent. If you're going to do that, if you ever find yourself in that situation, it's super easy, okay? I recommend going down to Office Depot. I love going to Office Depot. I love the smell of fresh office products. I feel so organized when I can just see reams of paper and you laugh at the word reams, that kind of stuff. It's a good trip to the store. And what you do is you get yourself a folder. And in that folder, hold on. God damn it. I'll be right back. This is so not necessary, but I'll show you what this, okay. You know how you're supposed to have a movie, a 90-second movie pitch like Sidney Powell was supposed to have? Okay, right? I have a rotating folder that has all my movie script ideas in it, And then I have completed copies of the scripts in another location. But this is the outline, the budget, what I would require to do it, some of the locations, some of the casting ideas that I have on them, and a basic breakdown and outline of any given number of movies that I have kind of, like with their Writers Guild registration. Oh, that's funny. It's a green folder, so you can't really see that. But when I register things with the Writers Guild, it's got that in there, right? So I don't have to go, this idea is registered with the Writers Guild. I can go, back. It's actually right. Here's the number. Meh. All these simple details, and these are really largely, these are movies that are just in an organizational sense that I've written out the function of it. Hold on. There you go. This is the second one. This is the entire 22-step breakdown of this feature. There's another one. And so in each of these, and this isn't even the only one. I have more of these. But if I had to make a case like, we need you to go before a judge today, and you are fighting for your right to make movies from now on. Right? Let's just say there was a McCarthy-like situation where artists who have been working have to come before Congress and go, pitch us 10 of your best ideas and explain to us why you should be allowed to make movies going forward. You bet your ass I would have a cumulative version of all these. I would go through all 5 of these that I have, get the breakout pages, the budgets, and the cost versus what they should make in the theater analysis that I've done myself, and the breakdown of the characters, my potential casting, the possibility of all that stuff, and take every single one of these and take the 10 best ones, and they would go, I go, here's the elevator pitch for all 9 of them right in a row. You got 20 minutes? I've already told you in 8 minutes my ideas. And then if you want to see the numbers, I will offer this into the record, and it's got all of it there. This asshole is freeballing it in the corner of a special subcommittee legislative session where he can lie his ass off, and he has made extraordinary claims to the Georgia legislature that 10,500 dead people we could just look at obituaries and see that. And well, then why wouldn't you have a folder with 500 of the best examples of voter fraud that you could come up with? What's your excuse? Is there one? Would we need to hear any of this shit? I'm not kidding. Would you need to hear any more from Rudy Giuliani if he simply came up there with a folder this size and said, there are 10,000 dead voters in this, and all of them are for Biden. We looked, and I'm going to read you the descriptions of, we canvassed a neighborhood, we spoke to the people, the relatives of the people who supposedly voted, we have the registration stuff from the Secretary of State that shows that they voted, and we know that these people are exactly the same person, that this is not somebody with a similar name, and there's 10,500 cases, and I got 500 of them right here. You got a minute? Crack a soda open, I'm going to go through each one of these, and I'm going to bring up a relative of each one of these people. They're in the room today. If you guys could just round of applause that their dead relative's vote was disenfranchised because we have proof. How would you even need the rest of the argument? Would you? Every single one of us would go, holy shit. Right? Wouldn't you just be like, they're obviously, a crime has been committed, right? It would be that simple. When did I start these folders? High school. That's why there's 10 of them. There's 5 more current ones, but I've got a bunch of other ones. I'm sorry, I got to put it back in the file folder. And don't get me started on, by the way, these are idea books. These either contain jokes, free-form script ideas where I do 3 or 4 page breakouts when I have an idea and I just write it out. Directing notes. This one's a mess, but it has, this one's currently, this is directorial projects for other people's stuff that they've asked me about maybe directing over the next couple of years. And so going through that, once I got in the DGA, I started a project folder for that. I had to draw a D on the front of it so that I could tell which one it was from the different ones because I wasn't using it. And then some of these are just literally like goal organization folders. Look at this. If you asked me, honest to God, if you asked me to go like make my case as a stand-up, as a director, as an actor, any of the things that I do for a living as a musician, I have one of these that's just song lyrics, and that's not including the digital shit I have. But if you asked me to go make the case, I wouldn't walk up to a podium and just freeball it and go, well, maybe I couldn't possibly, maybe there's fuck off with this nonsense. If he came up there and said 5 dead people, showed you pictures of this lovely woman, see her? She's dead. Yeah, she supposedly voted for Biden. We actually have proof of it. Her family's here. They didn't vote for her. We could prove it. We can even prove that they didn't make her vote for Biden just so we could say she voted for Biden just in case Trump lost. We could say there was voter fraud, but you never mind the money. Why do you want to see their bank accounts? Right. So for the record, this kind of horseshit drives me crazy. It's just, some stuff should irritate you. I know I'm hiding behind my green screen. Some of this stuff should just irritate you on principle. For God's sake, man. This is the president's lawyer. You know what? If Sidney Powell does this shit, she's been kicked to the curb twice. She's a nutcase. Or Ellen Wood, who was never part of the team. Whatever. Who cares? Why? Honestly, I like making fun of Ellen Wood and whatnot, but he has no actual standing in any of this. But Rudolph Giuliani, America's mayor, is the president of the United States lawyer. And this is him doing his job.
That the votes were phony, that there were a lot of them, dead people, felons, phony ballots.
Show one.
Phony mail-in ballots. How is it that...
How is it that I can just stand up here, talk out of my ass, sweat motor oil, nearly shit my pants, choose a couple of people to come and be my witnesses, and they turn out to be sex offenders, and take me seriously?
In every single...
What do I got to do? Bring graphs?
Single Republican county in this state senators ran ahead of the president by...
Yeah, because they hated the president, but they're still Republicans. That part isn't even hard to figure out.
4 to 6%. Every single one. Exactly the same, 4 to 6%.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 4 to 6% of Republicans hated Trump, voted either for Biden or not at all, and voted for everyone else Republican down ticket. That's not even weird. That's not even a statistical anomaly. Mathematicians aren't even calling Sidney Powell about that.
We know the president's favorability in this state.
Do ya?
We know that, at least in a few of those cases, he's going to run ahead of the Republican senators.
No, he isn't.
And it just so happens it's just in the states where they fixed the vote that happened. In other
so weird
states, the president ran ahead of most Republican state senators.
So that's not indicative of a fix. Right? That's not indicative of a fix. So the people who would vote for Trump wouldn't also vote for the Republican? That's not indicative of a fix? So I'm tired of demonstrating it. There are so many... What do you mean you're tired of demonstrating it? Start demonstrating it. You're flapping about it. Fucking hell.
Ways of demonstrating it. You know it. This is a question of courage.
Yes. If you have the courage to throw yourself under Trump's bus, where he will brag about grabbing women by the pussy to Billy Bush on his way to meet a supermodel in a parking lot. But at least you got to throw yourself under his bus. What? And you could look up as he rolled over and see his undergut and go, I helped him.
It's ultimately a question of courage. Do you have...
Yes, a lot of people need courage in the Republican Party to not side with the president when he's trying to commit a crime because Republicans will attempt to kill them.
The courage to stand up to the obligation the Constitution of the United States put on you to save our people from fraud, to save the reputation of the state of Georgia from in history, certifying a phony vote that led to the wrong result in an election, which will be the verdict of history? Or do you have the courage to put up with what's going to happen if you, in fact, change that certification and do the right thing? You'll be attacked, you'll be pilloried, you'll be described in all sorts of horrible ways.
Because you'll be acting in horrible ways? I mean, let's just translate what Rudy's here. That 15-year-old girl that he believed was interviewing him clearly had the hots for him. Did you see the way she touched his shirt and tapped his shoulder and let him touch her ass as she was taking his microphone out? And it's a matter of courage. If Rudy has the courage to make a pass at a girl he believes is 15 years old and take his penis out in a hotel room in front of a minor, it's an act, and people are going to call Rudy terrible things if he does that, and he's going to be pilloried in the press. But it's a matter of, does Rudy have the courage to whip his dick out in front of a child or not? And that's Rudy. Welcome to Profiles in Courage, Rudy Giuliani. Jesus Christ.
Well, you'll wake up the next morning and look in the mirror and you'll be able to say,
and you'll go like, oh my God, I can see her ass in the mirror if I turn slightly or whatever, if I
did the right
a
thing.
little bit. Right, Rudy?
And that's what you should be about.
Wait, hold on. I want to see it. 1 second. Hold on. You mean like, you wake up and you look in the mirror and you see like this kind of a thing? Like when like if you got up the next morning in the mirror and this is what you saw and you're like, hey, how do I feel proud about myself, considering, even though now I know she was an actress playing a 15-year-old, at the time I had my hand in my pants, I believed her to be 15. So it was just a matter of Rudy. This is Rudy having the courage to, no matter what he was going to be called in the press and pilloried and whatnot. At least this is the time where he's showing the courage of where there he goes. Look at that. Just classy. Yeah. So tell us about courage again, Rudy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your moment of courage, but you were saying, look, get up, look in the mirror, and yada yada yada. Sorry. So start again. Say what you were going to say.
Out in public office, not worried about what people say, but what you did. And
that's right. Yeah, that's important. Don't worry about what people say. Worry about what you did. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about what people say about what was happening. It's just remembering that you, Rudy Giuliani, had a chance and you took it. You went for it. You swung for the fences, Rudy. You had Profiles in Courage with Rudy, and his hand is in his pants.
I'll tell you another thing. Your decision will stand the test of history, because this is going to
Oh, yes, it will. Video is forever. I'm sorry, we're not talking about the same thing.
prove to be even worse than it is now, and it's pretty bad. So I implore you, hold a session, take a vote.
Okay. Long hauler COVID? What's happening? Listen to him breathing.
Hold a session, take a vote, do the right thing, and forget the criticism. You know what the right thing to do is.
You do. You know what the right thing to do is. Just, Rudy, why do you... you're breathing like you look like you're breathing there, Rudy.
You've seen the evidence. You know what the law is.
And you see why we've been kicked out of court 60 times.
I implore you to do the right thing. Not necessarily for President Trump, although he is my client and your client, but now.
I thought I thought this dude was a state legislator. What do you mean his client too? That dude nodded when he said your client.
Now it really has become much bigger than that for the American people, and so this stops right now.
You tell him, Rudy. Yeah, absolutely. You got to draw a line somewhere. Sorry. You got to draw a line somewhere, and oops, sorry. You've got to, Rudy.
No more of this stuff in America.
No more. You do America? Knock it off.
This is the stuff you do in a third world country.
Yes, this is the stuff you do in a third world country. Well, second world. I mean, Ukraine's pretty decent.
Let them get away with this. It can get much worse.
Oh boy. How could it be worse? If you let the Democrats get away with this, you watch. They're going to have 1 in 1,000 Americans die in a single year. And the biggest economic slowdown since the Great Depression that wasn't caused by the financial industry. And a total and almost complete collapse of the substructure of healthcare for millions of Americans. And poverty and bread lines. And can you imagine? I mean, it was obviously everything we're experiencing right now during COVID, all the failures of the federal government and the fact that Operation Warp Speed is at 1/10 the strength it would need to even get close to the Biden goal, and he will get to it. But all of that, I mean, the last year, 2020 is nothing compared to, I don't know, pick a random Obama year. Am I right?
And I can't say enough.
Yes, you can. You have many times. Hold on. Wait. All I can say is what? Hold on. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Yeah. So the overall, I mean, it's lovely to watch Rudy try. You know what I mean? And you would try this hard too if you needed a pardon this badly, right? I mean, obviously, this. If you're this desperate, you would be panting too. Yes, Tina says, is he getting paid $20,000 like he wanted? Trump has apparently agreed to pay him $20,000 a day, which he's not going to pay. I'm just going to say, like, if there is any money, it's not coming from Trump's pocket. It very well may come from the campaign, but only because it's a pittance compared to the millions he's taking in. 20 is garbage. 20 is chicken shit money compared to what Trumpsters are throwing his way. And by the way, if you're a Trumpster or a maggot and you support the president, this kind of legal advice ain't cheap. You need to go straight to Trump's website. I think it's donaldjtrump.com, and give him as much of your hard-earned money as you can. Otherwise, what if Rudy just decides he can make better money elsewhere and leaves? Then who's going to work there? You know what I mean? Jenna Ellis? Get the fuck out of here.
About your courage,
Thank you, Amy.
Mr. Chairman, and the other members of your committee in doing what a lot of others are afraid to do. And I
listen to you talk for an hour?
thank you on behalf of my client and on behalf of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're not acting on behalf of the United States.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes.
No.
Lots.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. No. Thank you so much. We're done. We got, yeah.
Okay. All right, now we'll move
Okay.
on to Mr. Bob Cheeley.
Where's he going?
And after Mr. Cheeley, we'll have Christine McKinnell, and we'll be wrapping
Where
it
you
up
going, Rudy?
shortly after that. So
Where's he going? It's his hearing. Where's he going? I thought he was there to represent the president. Yes, no questions, no answers, no evidence. But, I mean, you want evidence? Dun, dun, dun. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Flynn, who's on the Epic Times. Check that out. The Falun Gong website. And he is now selling, wait, let's see if I can find this. Flynn selling QAnon merch. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Right on. In case you guys needed something cool to wear and a Zoltan shirt would not do it for you, I mean, there is certainly one of the ways you can really get some snazzy clothes. Also, this poor guy, I know for a fact that's a clip and paste model shot where the guy just gets whatever that's just printed on the shirt over him. But yeah, he's selling, where we go one, we go all. This, like, I love how convoluted the WWGA thing is. Like, I just love how clunky that is. You know what I mean? Considering how they just think MAGA is the most amazing piece of marketing and political messaging in the history of the world. That MAGA, make America great again, and just say it MAGA, and it's got a MAGA, aha. Yeah, it rhymes with maggot, but we'll deal with that later, MAGA, And they love that. They're big fans of MAGA. And what did they come up with on their own? Clearly, these people are not the marketing geniuses that Donald Trump is, and of course, stealing "Make America Great Again" from other presidents. But that's another thing entirely. Wigga wigga wigga, wigga wigga gaga, wigga wigga ga. What is he? So, what was your question, Elizabeth? I didn't see it. Wigga gaga. Wiggaga, wigga, wiggly, wiggly what? Wiggly giggly, wiggagly. What? How's it wiggle? Oh, good point. The W's are silent, so it's just giga, gaga, gaga. Yeah, it's right up there with Kofifi, right? Yeah, Reagan first said "Make America Great Again." That's true. I don't know if he was even the first, but gaga, gaga, caw, caw, whatever it is. Anyways, former Trump National Security Advisor Mike Flynn is going all in on the QAnon conspiracy theory, promoting an online store to sell QAnon hats and t-shirts, the proceeds of which will benefit his partnership with a prominent QAnon booster. Flynn's drawn-out legal battle with special counsel Robert Mueller turned him into a hero for QAnon believers, many QAnon supporters who rely on mysterious online cues. Mysterious, that's adorable. Convoluted, bullshit, psychotic, cult-like drip-drop messages online that are designed to drag them around by their noses. To construct a worldview where a Democratic Party and other institutions controlled by a cabal of pedophile cannibals, claim that Flynn is Q. Which is, who is the anonymous figure behind the conspiracy theory? There might be something to Flynn being Q. I wouldn't rule that out either, because none of what he says actually happens, and every prediction he's made has fallen apart. And if it wasn't for a bailout from the president, whom he, crimed with and for, he would be rotting in jail right now. So, yeah. Caw-caw. So let's hear what Q has to say, shall we?
Understand in this country is that this country is an experiment. Empires come and go. Nation states fail.
And that's our goal as part of the Trump administration.
So is this experiment waxing? Are we still growing as the beacon of hope for the rest of the world? I still believe that in my heart, but I know that there is a dimension of our experiment that is sort of in our face right now. And
a dimension of our experiment that's sort of on our face. I like the background music, though. It's
the
nice.
American public
probably going to
have
get me
decide.
some sort of a copyright strike if I don't talk about it.
The American public lasts forever.
Okay.
Socialist and communist ideology has crept into American culture and education.
Oh no! How so?
At the same time, America is threatened by foreign adversaries, with China's Communist Party being the greatest opponent of all. In the
According to the Epoch Times. Wonder why, Falun Gong.
exclusive interview with Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, we sit down to discuss this watershed moment in America's history. And
Is it a watershed moment, or are you guys just flapping on and on because you lost? A lot of people are making noise. Never mind the fact that this is the same group that was outside saying during the ACA, keep your government hands, your dirty hands off your government hands off my Medicare, right?
and what he believes the future holds. Will this great American experiment into Republican governance survive, or will it fail?
I'm sorry, we were experimenting with Republican governance?
This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Yanya Kellick.
Yeah, you are. Huh? Why are you the thought leaders of America? What in this guy and Mike Flynn would make either one of them appear as a thought leader? Hang on and find out.
General Michael Flynn, great to have you back on American Thought Leaders.
Thanks, Jan.
Well, we have to pick up, I guess, where we left off in the last
Yeah, it's good in an interview. Start right away with the stuff that no one heard.
interview, which has been extremely well received.
Good.
Gotten a lot of very interesting comments and questions, actually.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you really want to go anywhere, it's the YouTube comment section that really, that's how we know we're thought leaders.
Great.
And
Not THOT. That's totally different, Maddie.
I thought I'd start with one of these questions before we get into the sort of deeper philosophical stuff that we want to.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good idea.
And one of our journalists actually wanted to know.
That's adorable. Journalists. Sorry.
What do you think is the biggest misconception around this whole kind of legal tribulation that you've been through?
That it was a fair system or a fair process. I think that's a misconception by.
Oh, I see. It was unfair. I don't believe that. I don't think that's fair. That you think that I think it would fair. I don't believe that you think that it's fair that you think I would think it was fair. Mike Flynn, Mike Fair. I think it was wholly unfair. I absolutely think that Mike Flynn's legal situation is completely unfair. If he'd have been anybody else but the president's patsy, he wouldn't have gotten any of these protections and he'd be in jail for a lot longer. It was absolutely not fair. Not fair.
A lot of people that have watched it from afar and
Hold on. Somebody actually said you did not vote because what? I didn't vote, did not have good choices, but it was rigged. Hal, answer me. A, it wasn't rigged. B, you did have good choices. And if you believe otherwise, you are being distinctly immature about reality. Let's say there's a person with 27 rape charges against them. And there's another person who and you have to choose a babysitter. And your choices are between somebody who has 27 rape charges against them and someone who has already babysat your kids before. Are you going to flip a coin or just go, I don't know, I'll let the kid pick? Seriously. You vote every time. And if you don't vote, I don't care if you don't think the choices are good, you vote for the best thing that's represented right in front of you. Because if you don't vote, you're spitting in the face of every relative of every vet who's died giving you the right to vote. Period, end of story. You vote every fucking time. Every time.
instead of those who have paid great attention to detail from the beginning. This was a unfair process, and the
yeah, it was unfair. You got to lie to the FBI multiple times about being a foreign agent, and you made money off the deal?
unfairness is not just for me, but the unfairness was toward the American people.
I know. I felt very cheated in this situation that Mike Flynn is out of jail.
The American
I think it's very unfair that Trump can pardon the dude who was doing what he told him to do, which was break the law.
people, this country was put through this journey with me, and did not deserve that from institutions in our country, whether it's the rule of law institutions or...
Do we have, oh, we have rule of law institutions, and then we have ones that aren't for the rule of law? Sorry, we have, what do we have? Religious, we have theocracies within government?
Whether it's through, which would be on the executive side, or whether it was through the brutality from the legislative side of the things that they and how they described me, and also through the judiciary component of our government and how that unfolded over the years. And
oh my God, dude. You lied to the FBI. You pled guilty multiple times. You got out because you were pardoned, not because you deserved it. Have a little humility. Grow the fuck up.
Showed to the American public, those three components of our government, just how much our government has developed into a series of institutions that will treat its own citizens as unfairly and as brutally as possible.
Oh, I see. So really at this point, Mike Flynn is arguing against our system of government and the rule of law. I mean, this dude sounds like Edward Snowden right now, and he's in a hotel room in D.C. paid for by Donald Trump, or owned, I suppose, by it.
Unfairly. And I would just add that people come up to me all the time, Jan, and they say, "I'm so sorry for what happened to you."
Yes, I'm so sorry for what happened to you, Mike Flynn. I don't think you should have gotten out.
And I always say, don't feel sorry for me. Don't have any pity on me. I don't have any.
I lied to the FBI, acted as a foreign agent, was paid millions by Russia and Turkey, and got away with it. I got a huge bank account because you suckers keep pouring money into it. I can sell QAnon merch, and nobody seems to mind.
Any pity on myself. I don't feel sorry for myself. I always...
Well, of course you wouldn't. You're you. You look in the mirror, and you see things you should be proud of.
Tell them, feel sorry for our country, that our country was not given a chance for something that President Trump wanted and deserved to have from the very beginning of his presidency, and actually even before his presidency. So the
what, Russian, for us to be run by a Russian sock puppet?
Again, the things we...
Damn, I feel so cheated.
We learned through my case for the entire world to see. And
that you can lie to the FBI and get away with it if your buddy's in charge. That someone is above the law. It's adorable.
The entire world watched this case, and I think that most people that watched it, even from afar, would see this just incredible level of unfairness.
No, not anywhere close to the majority of people. I mean, it's indicative of this dude is in a bubble where he's got a protective surrounding of Republican sycophants and Trumpsters around him at all times to even believe that for a second. And most of the people who would come up and call him a piece of shit for the way he's behaved wouldn't do so out of deference, in public especially, in deference to the fact that he's he served in the military. And so we all tap back our as bad as he is, a lot of people have a natural disinclination to yell the kind of shit he deserves yelled at him because he's a general. That's just the fact. So he's only encountering people who like him. And all the people who don't are like, ugh, and leave.
To a citizen and to all citizens and to the country.
To all, yes, all citizens are held up to the standard of generals who've taken an oath to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and it's just amazing how he, basically, I don't know why he's not just reading the Turner Diaries out loud or Timothy McVeigh's manifesto.
Does it trouble you that there's still quite a few people out there, and even people writing articles? I just read one today, actually.
What? People write articles that don't like Mike Flynn? And you're reading them? What are you doing? Are you thought leading or thought following?
Actually, that just fundamentally don't understand willfully or unwillfully what happened.
I'm sorry. There's a presumption there. Did you guys hear it?
People writing articles, I just read one today actually, that just fundamentally don't understand willfully or unwillfully what happened.
Oh, I see. So it's not that someone saw what happened and disagrees with their worldview. It's that if you disagree with their worldview or what they believe happened or with what Mike Flynn sells you, that it's not that you have a different belief about it. It's that you fundamentally don't understand, guys. You don't understand. You just don't get, and people, even people writing articles about it, just don't understand.
Sure. Well, I mean, whatever the context of the article is, I stopped.
I think the context of the article might be that you acted as a foreign agent, you were being paid as a foreign agent, and didn't tell the government you were acting as a foreign agent when you were the national security advisor and you were receiving money from a foreign power to lobby for that country, and you were also lobbying on behalf of Russia's needs and wants with the promise of future financial benefit, and you lied to the FBI multiple times about it, and you went to jail for that. That would be the context. You know, as in Trump, in Rudy Giuliani's world, it's kind of a bird's eye view of the whole thing.
At a certain point, worrying about what people were saying because they were wrong, and they've been proven wrong. And people.
No, they haven't. None of them have been proven wrong. You went through the legal system. You got to fight back. You have attorneys. You fought it. You got found guilty. You pled guilty multiple times. You went to jail, and you pled guilty to lesser charges than you were being charged with because you knew you would be found guilty of the higher charges, and this is how you would get out of jail sooner. So fuck off.
People can say what they want to say. And it's even like saying...
I know. It's a crazy thing about America. Although I thought freedom of speech was ended. Didn't you guys hear that? Did I not hear that on the internet? We don't have freedom of speech anymore, right? Like if I say fraud, the whole thing... I wish I should have a button that just shuts off all the lights in the camera with one fell swoop. Just to make like, oh no. I mean, I've had so many goddamn tech issues in the past. It would only panic me.
Saying to the president or saying to some commander on the battlefield, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. Until you have walked in my shoes.
Hey, asshole, you weren't a commander on the battlefield, and you aren't the president of the United States. And as Americans, the chances of any individual being in America, the president of the United States, material, even being a congressperson or a senator, are minuscule, right? And if you believe what Mike Flynn is saying, that you as an American citizen don't even have the right to criticize Donald J. Trump unless you've walked in his shoes. Well, you couldn't possibly, largely because most of you just don't have the courage like Rudy Giuliani does and Donald Trump do to, commit multiple acts of sexual assault and be okay with it. I mean, I think it would probably eat at you morally. So it'd be hard for you to walk in Donald Trump's shoes. The other reason, too, is that walking in Donald Trump's shoes are very difficult because I'm 5'9", and his shoes would be too small for me, and I don't wear lifts. So that would be awkward. If we all were to walk in Trump's shoes, we would all lean forward and almost fall over. But all joking aside, the nature of the United States of America is that we can question and criticize people in power. If nobody could criticize the president, but people who have been president, at any given time, there would only be 6 people on earth to tell that person what time it is. And half of them would be from their party and wouldn't care or would think they're doing just fine. What kind of stupid shit is this? So citizens in the greatest democracy in the world can't criticize what generals are doing at home None of the battlefield. These aren't battlefield decisions. He wasn't making. We're not second guessing a police shooting or something like that where we weren't there and we didn't know where things were leading and we only saw a piece of video, or a battlefield decision where somebody's, you ordered the code red. You're damn right I did. You want me on that wall. This is bullshit. This dude is saying we can't criticize and second guess the fact that on behalf of Trump, he was subverting U.S. interests and dovetailing U.S. interests within the White House towards Turkey and Russia while being paid by them. And that he should be able to lie to the FBI and get off scot-free because that's what fair is and that's what the rule of law is. Piss
and you have been put through
off.
The level of scrutiny and frankly, it's almost like a level of punishment that the government conveys on, in my case, me.
Jesus Christ. Get off the cross. We need the wood. And secondly, Mike Flynn, I've had 4 hit shows. 4. Talk Soup, Queer as Folk, I Love the 80s, 90s, and 70s, the whole I Love the 80s like run of those things, and Lab Rats. 4. All ratings hits, all great. You don't think I've had it scrutiny in my friggin' life? Are you kidding? Deal with it. I guarantee if we were walking around in public, Mike Flynn and me, most places, even in D.C., the vast majority of people would recognize me first, even with my long hair and in a mask. And guess what? Some people are dicks, and we get trolled, and there's all sorts of people who have questions about what your character should or shouldn't have done. You know what? It goes with the territory, and I'm not even a military general, or I'm like yelling at other people to suck it up. God, the whining. Whining.
In a way that should never happen.
Right. Run that by me again.
And frankly, it's almost like a level of punishment that the government conveys on in my case, me, in a way that should never happen.
The government conveys, by bringing you to trial. So anybody brought to trial on a federal charge is unfairly put in the public eye. Get out of here.
Distorting, corrupting, and abusing our own rule of law system that I spent.
That's what you're doing. You just skated out of it, asshole. You should have turned down the pardon. Character your convictions, you jerk off.
And, the better part, in fact, over 33 years of my life defending around the world and telling people around the world, look at us, be like us.
And then you turned on us. And then you did the exact opposite of what you were doing for 30 years. And for the last 8 years, you've been systematically breaking down every good thing you may or may not have done. And by the way, the assumption that I am for the assumption that military people serve with honor and we should assume this about them at any given time. But the minute one of them gets busted for lying to the FBI and acting as a foreign agent, I'm going to question everything you did in your career. Why wouldn't you? It's like, okay, I think now that we've found out a guy's a spy, I'm just going to say that everything he does going forward.
Be more like us, right? I mean, we're out there professing to be America, this great.
Yes, you had a lawyer. You faced your accusers. You got to look at evidence. You pled down from a greater crime.
Beacon of hope, this great light on the hill. And we are actually telling people around the world.
Elizabeth, they are not all corrupt. That's just absurd.
Hey, be more like us. And all of a sudden.
And if you believe that, it's because you watch all of too many of the same kind of movies.
Many people who know me, they are all of a sudden seeing something happening to me and they're going, wow.
Wow, maybe the system does work. Maybe even a guy who's been a general can't break the law as egregiously, pathetically, and vociferously as this asshole did. Maybe there is something to this whole America thing. Because if a general like him did that in our country, the leader would just pardon. Oh, shit.
Wow, what's happened to America?
He was entrapped. Yeah, sure he was.
So until you
He was entrapped. You mean the whole part where they were like, we know he's going to lie about this, so let's try to get him into the thing where he starts talking about it. You mean like they do with every criminal? Were they like, I have an alibi. Sure you do. Okay, we know he's going to lie about the alibi, so let's wait on bringing up the alibi until we get 2 other details in there so that he knows we know he's lying about his alibi. For fuck's sake. How do you think any investigation goes? He was entrapped.
live in the shoes of someone, you can judge them, you can
Yeah.
give them ideas, but until you actually have walked in those shoes, you can't understand what was going
Yes, I cannot understand why you would sell out your country.
on in terms of decision making during the
Loretta
periods
Guy.
of time that I had to make really, really tough decisions. And I would say that my decisions were always first and foremost were for my family.
Oh, you mean monetarily? Sorry, but a lot of heroes in the world have made decisions that were not first and foremost for their family. They died for their country, they died for their church, they died for their cause. Yes, they would do things that benefit their family, but only in the way that it benefited everybody's family by, not submitting to torture and not getting caught and not giving state secrets and the like. But is that not just an excuse for like, yeah, they were going to torture me? But I was like, but they said they'd pay me if I just gave them the information. I was like, my kids really want a boat.
Period.
Well, that's one of the things I understood that
Did you?
the prosecutors threatened your son.
Hi. Oh. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're over time anyway, so yes. That's okay. Thanks, babe. Summer's car got serviced today, so I've got to drive her over to pick it up. So everybody says hi, by the way.
With some kind of...
So another couple minutes, and then I got to take off. Thank you guys for joining me today, and thank you for all the Patreon love that continued even today is extraordinary. Thank you guys for doing that. It was great to be able to see that. I think we even got a couple. I want to say during the night, if I can find it. Let's see, 2 hours ago. Yes, so 3. Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple of people who just followed randomly over the course of those. It was really awesome. And yeah, I'll go back through that at some point. Thanks for following, Dr. Rad. Thanks everybody who follows and subscribes on Twitch as well. Members with Amazon Prime, you can subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. And bless the patrons and everybody. Talked to a couple of great. Well, I'm not gonna. I want to. How do I? I'm terrible at not giving away secrets, but I'm going to. I'm actually really good at it. But I like leading up to it. And at the first of the year, we're gonna have a refreshing makeover of the show for everybody and that kind of stuff. But one more couple minutes and then I'm going to bail and then we'll be back at tomorrow is Thursday, obviously. So I start an hour later. Most people know that, but just in case you don't. So instead of 3 my time, it's 4 my time. So for those of you that join us later, please do. And also this weekend on the radio show, Frank Fagluzzi is going to be a guest. That's right. We're going to start having guests. If you have Amazon Prime, you can if you go on Twitch and set up an account, you can subscribe to a channel like mine for free using your Amazon Prime account, which means they pay for the subscription, not you. So that's pretty cool. So I don't know how much longer I can look at this guy's head, but
Yeah, I won't go into the details of that.
All right. Well, that's as good as an end as anything. Listen to this.
One of the things I understood that the prosecutors threatened your son with some kind of...
Yeah, I won't go into the details of that.
Yeah, what did the prosecutors threaten your son with? I'm going to go with charging him with crimes he was guilty of. And so this was the unfair part. His son didn't face any time because he got to plead down to time that he was never going to fully serve anyways because Trump was going to give him a pardon. You know, like we all would have happen if we were ever in deep shit, you know, and had lied to the FBI multiple times. Who doesn't have that ripcord in their life, right? Criminy. Will do, Primrose. Well, yeah, January 1st is your birthday. Primrose Russell's birthday is on January 1st. We'll wish you a happy birthday at the end of the live stream. I'm going to stream on New Year's tomorrow night. And I think we should probably do it that way since, yeah, let's do this. So tomorrow night, I'm going to start at a later time and just stream through the evening for New Year's and just ring in the New Year's here on, West Coast time. And that, yeah, that'll be the way to do it. I think something like, yes, Pacific time. That's where I am. So I'll do that. And, that would be an easy, until, as many as they count through, So I'll see if I can, we'll probably we'll start earliest, obviously, with New York and everybody like that. So we'll get a few of them in there, right? Yes, and the Fiducies are up. Can't Stop Lying just post that link. We did some pretty good deep fakes on that, I have to say. They're pretty funny. I'm not doing 24 hours again this early. I might do it on the inauguration or something like that, something crazy, or my birthday next year. But man, madness. So that's what we'll do. And yes, and Sunday is Flappers. So many of you know I do stand up at Flappers once a month, first weekend of every month, and right now all those shows I do for free myself, but the tickets sold benefit Flappers to keep their doors open, be able to give their staff some money. They're on the edge of that, like the new stimulus affects them in one way, but not the other. And because they're a combined restaurant and club, some of the money helps the club. It doesn't benefit the rest. They don't even know how it's going to shake out yet or whether they'll even qualify. So they're in deep shit. So I'm trying to help as much as possible. So this money goes right into the pockets of the folks that work at Flappers. So Sunday night, I'm doing a stand-up show there. Details to follow, as it were. But you can go to flapperscomedy.com, and it's a Zoom show, so you get a ticket and go into the Zoom thing. It's a good time. Thanks for putting that in there. Can't Stop Lying. We'll always post the links. Thanks so much. And only 13 more hours of 2020. Oh, that's right. For you. We've got a few more. We've got over 24 for us. So adore you guys. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow. Relax into this, all this nonsense. Right before I leave, let's do one last thing because this is kind of funny. Hold on.
With all his talent and the ability to raise money and draw large crowds, the president
Well, thank you. Oh, you meant him. I thought he meant me.
Still lives in an alternate reality. He really does. With all his talent.
This is the idea that Pat Robertson basically said that Trump's not going to win. He's just he lives in a fantasy land and he's not going to end up doing it. So Pat Robertson, bringing it back around at the tail end. Rest well and take care of yourselves, and we will see you later on, everybody. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. Pass it around. Tell your friends, because subscriptions really help us as well. That's always I always forget to do. I got to do them I got to set it up where I do it on the half hour or something. There's got to be a structure to this thing, as opposed to me just yammering. As charming and as inventive and funny and interesting and well-versed in facts as I am, I think there's got to be some element of, I'm starting to look at production on television going, yeah, there's a reason why they take bathroom breaks. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself and have fun and be safe, and reach out to a friend. Just text somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. Go, hey, we're all in this together. You doing all right? It'll do you some good. All right. Night, everybody.
Bags of silver.
Perfecto.
Winston Churchill stood on the rooftops in London, very calm, making speeches. Winston Churchill.
Euromisia. To me, Corona means Italy.
Captain's log.
Wildlife refuges. I mean, you look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife. Yosemites. We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen. Michigan gave us Motang. Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused. We have that. It's as wide as it can be.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately. Yosemites. And then voila.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Did have shade.
I'd like to kick his ass just once. I'm your huckleberry.
Person, woman, man.
Yosemites.
Just looking around here, I can tell you're a genuinely dirty person.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast without a severe blow to the head.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? Michigan gave us Motang. A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua. You have nobody guarding your potatoes. Bags of soup.
I do it because I have, like, a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Yosemites. Michigan gave us Motang. And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? Free health care for illegal The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
I do it because I have, like, a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Free health care for illegal Burmese, company that his son worked for. That's Burmese. We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately.
Butthole!
Isn't it wonderful to allow protesting? We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.